Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and to the next genre makers. Today I want to talk about a genre that's honestly been around for a really long time in one fashion or another, and that's the platformer. Now, these have been around in many forms over the years, from Space Panic where you used platforms and a shovel to take out aliens, all the way back in 1980, to Donkey Kong, released in 1981, where we'd get our first look into the character that would eventually become Mario in Jumpman. Now, this was one of the earliest games to allow the player to actually even jump, which is wild to think of, but yeah, platformers and games in general really didn't have a jump mechanic early on. You would think that this would be a key moment in this kind of game, but not really. Many other games would come out contributing to this development, and to the main franchise itself. However, one in particular stood out as an eye-opener to many people, and I think all of you know which one it is. So without further delay, let's get into Super Mario Bros. What may have made it so important, and how it was an eye-opener, and how it influenced many games moving forward. Now, Super Mario Bros. Kind of goes without any real need for an introduction as one of the main platformers to ever come out. Why is that, you ask? Well, because it kind of took everything that had been done and put it in one clean package. Players could easily manage their jump distance and height using the momentum of the character and how long they held the button. Some blocks were breakable and many were invisible, leading to a lot of hidden treasures to be found in many of the stages. On top of this, various different types of platforms, enemies, and secret warp pipes would leave players wondering just how fast they could go through the game, what optimal paths could be taken, and what kinds of wild jumps and shortcuts through the stages would make the runs the most interesting and overall more efficient. In short, the game, on top of having tight gameplay, had enough secrets and options to keep players coming back well after they beat the game itself, just to see more of the game. It also helped that this game was packed with pretty much every NES released, allowing players at the time who had the console to spend time sharing secrets and strategies for it that they would gather on, and, spreading its popularity through word of mouth. And before long, it was a pop culture phenomenon with cartoons, serials, collectibles. It was basically like Pac-Man fever all over again, just in the mid-80s. Nintendo would keep this pressure on with not one but two sequels coming out on the NES, with Super Mario Bros. 2, a reskin of another game called Doki Doki Panic, and Super Mario Bros. 3. Each game bringing in new mechanics like worlds for the player to explore, or multiple different characters to select from, among other options. These games were so popular, many developers would start to take note, especially Sega. Sega would push heavily into the market with their Sonic franchise, introducing even more varied stages and ways through them, with the speed itself leading to new thoughts and pathing and design moving forward. These two companies would come to write most of the book when it came to the level design and flow of platformers, influencing generations and generations of gamers. Eventually, this would move into the 3D world as well, with many of the games, including first-person shooters, taking platforming cues from many of these earlier revisions of games. Even the indie scene, with games like Braid, Celeste, and Super Meat Boy, would take influences from many of the games that came before them, with stage design, platforming locations, and general stage flow, bringing us almost full circle into a new platformer renaissance, which was truly a refreshing change from the 3D action games that had begun to dominate the landscape so heavily over the last few years, and helping round out the offerings available, giving both old and new players alike more options to choose from. The foundational work of Super Mario Bros. And how it brought all these disparate elements from many other games into one clean package cannot be overstated. Nintendo's choice to include it with their consoles also can't be overstated for its influence on gamers as a whole, as it exposed generations of gamers to one of the cleaner platforms of the era, not only once, but twice, with the release of Super Mario Bros. World on the SNES. Along with a later pack-in of Sonic the Hedgehog with the Genesis, further defining what platformers can be. However, what do you guys think? Do you think Super Mario Bros. Deserves a spot in the series? Is there another that you think is more appropriate? What's the first platformer you ever actually really played, if any? Let me know in the comments. While you're there, if you don't mind, leave this video a like. And if you see more of my content and you like, possibly some of the videos that are on the screen now, consider following the channel. That helps me out a lot. Till we meet again though, have a great rest of your day, and happy gaming.